Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to Kottabos Space Program, where today we are having a look at the Station Parts Expansion Redux mod, which is being made by forum user NearT. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is a whole lot of new station parts for you to build with. So let's jump right on into the vehicle assembly building and have a look at just the simply crazy number of parts here that we have to look at today. So let's first and foremost grab ourselves a PPD12 cupola module for size comparison's sake, and you'll probably notice something right off the bat here. It looks a bit different, and that's because this mod just doesn't add in new parts, it reworks the cupola module, the mobile processing lab, as well as the hitchhiker storage container to change up their style a bit to better match the new station parts styling of this mod. And I actually really love the look of these things, and it means when you play with the stock parts with the new modded parts, you're not missing out or, making it feel like they don't belong. It goes together quite nicely. So there we go, that's the changes or reworks to the stock parts. So let's jump into our mod filter, leaving on just the expansion Redux bits, and take a look first and foremost at our command pods here. And the first one here's the PPD8 Wharf station core, which is just a lovely little inline station core for use with your Kerbals to command, and it will hold 4 in total, minimum of 2 to operate, which is a bit interesting. Normally we just require 1, but this does need 2. It has a built-in reaction wheel crew report. It does have some switchable things on here, which I'll go over in a second, and then electric charge of 200. Now these switchable parts that we actually have this on basically every part in this mod, so I'm going to go over this once and then never again. And what it's going to do is change these connection points up at the top and bottom to be different sort of texturing. So we have the classic, the insulated, the classic bear, and then the insulated bear. And you have the same thing that you can change for the bottom connection as well. And so if you do want to change up the styling between parts so you just don't always have the same exact classic connection, you can, switch it up a bit, which is pretty cool to have that ability. It gives you more customization, and you get that with every part basically. So I'm gonna ignore that from now on. But yes, wonderful little wharf station core. Now the next one is the PPD8 Pier station core. Quite a bit smaller as you can see here, but just as beautifully made. I do love all the texturing and modeling on all of these parts. Now this one holds 2 crew members total, minimum of 1 to operate, does have a data transmitter, reaction wheel, and then a 50 electric charge, so quite small, but you know what? Quite useful. And we then have the PXL10 Harbor station core, and I love this thing. In fact, I think it may be my favorite part. It may not look like much from the outside, but its interior view is gorgeous. I really do love it. And it holds 5 crew members in total, minimum of 2 to operate, and does also come with a reaction wheel crew report, and then a 450 electric charge. And the final probe core, or well, just command pod rather, that we have here is the PXL9 Vista astrogation module, which is probably the coolest one of all of the different command pods here. Also has a beautiful interior. And again, this one has a 4 crew total capacity, minimum of 2 to operate, and the reaction wheel, a visual scan science experiment, and then 500 electric charge. It's a pretty cool part, and the interior is wonderful. Now we have nothing in fuel, nothing in engines. This is, space stations after all. Nothing in command and control, but in structural, we get to some good little parts around here. And so the first one here is the A1 pressurized crew cabin, and is just a nice structural bit to connect bits and pieces of your station and, make it look a bit bigger if you need to do so. No interior, of course, and holds no Kerbals. It's just a structural component, but does look quite cool, and of course, does have some nice lighting. Now we then have a smaller version, the A2, which is basically half size, the A3 pressurized cabin, which is even smaller, and then we also have a radial attachment version of them so that you can then, project it outward, which is pretty cool. We then have a large multi-point station connector here for anything in the 2.5 meter size variety. Always nice. We then have a PPD to PTD adapter, which is very good there, going from the 2.5 to 1.25 size. Always good. We then have a flat adapter to serve as an end cap to any parts, so you don't have that sort of bottom look there. You can make it look all nice and flat. We then have another radial attachment point there for, of course, a smaller 1.25 parts. We then have a PTD pressurized crew tube, which of course goes along with the radial attachment point there to, attach parts of your station. And then, of course, a half-size version of it, and then a half-size version of that. Always useful. We then have another flat adapter for the PTD smaller size there. You can just pop that on. A beautiful looking design to it. Do love the handrails. We then have another multi-point station core in the PTD size, which is very nice to have. We then have a PXL to a conical adapter going from the 2.5 to larger, oh god, I'm forgetting what the measurement is for that, but the larger station parts. And boy, do we have some large station parts to come here. We then have a pressurized radial attachment module, which of course, can radially attach and looks gigantic and awesome. And there we are, another flat adapter for those larger parts. And then finally, we have 3 different pressurized crew tubes for the PXL, which of course goes along with this radial attachment here, as these are, oh boy, very big pressurized tubes for your Kerbals to go through. It is wonderful and perfect for attaching like large cargo holds, etc. to on the outsides of your space stations or, of course, ships. Very fun there. Very cool parts. Now next is in the coupling, where we have the first here is the BEX1 extensible crew tube, which does have a grapple node on the end here. And what's fun is it starts expanded, but we can actually retract this thing into its more condensed form, but extended we can arm it to open up, and it does have, as you can see there, a grapple node for grabbing onto either ships or rovers or, whatever you are going for. We then, of course, do have a larger version here, which is also square. Very nice. We can arm that and retract or extend it. Fun to have. And then also a Clampotron docking module that is deployable. There we go. So it does extend out a little bit, which is always fun. Now next in payload, we have, oh boy, a lot of cargo containers. Now one thing about these cargo containers, as you can see, we do have a switchable part bit here again, but this doesn't change that connection texture. Rather, this actually changes what it will hold. Now, all of these are meant for cargo sort of things. So in the stock game that I have running right now, we just really have ore. But if you have any other sort of modded resources, you should also see those subtypes in here as well. So yeah, we have starting here with the lovely little KRDA 0200 cargo container. We then have its big brother, its even bigger brother right here, and then we move on to the next styling of these. I mean, I really do love the look of these things, and they go perfectly on a radial attachment around your ships. They just look beautiful. Now we then have the KRDAT series, where we start with the small one, then it has its bigger brother, and then its even bigger brother there, carrying quite a lot of ore, up to 1520 there. Very fun. We then move into another design here, where we have the XL4000 cargo container, which is gigantic, and then of course has its bigger brother as well. And isn't it just beautiful. A very, very large part. We then move on to the CRG logistic module here, which is more of an inline thing, again coming in 3 different sizes, but very handy for all of your storage needs. We then have some actual truss storage modules, again in differing sizes there. Let's pop these all on, and as you can see, you have different bits and bobs that you can go inside. The 2 larger versions do have cargo bays that can close right there, and of course the smallest one, rather than swinging out, it sort of slides up and down. I really like that. I don't know why. I like it more than just a door that opens. It amuses me, but very good to have these. And then finally we have the CRG series, which again comes in 3 different sizes and is just, again, a really, really big way to store your materials. Very fun, very handy. Now, of course, nothing in aerodynamics, again, space station, but ground, we actually do have some stuff, because even though this is, mainly space station parts, you can, of course, use it to build anything from spaceships to even ground bases, and we have different adjustable landing gears for you to use. Now, these first ones here are the BR1, 2, and 3 adjustable base cradle, and as you can see, they're, 2 feet that have a curved inner bit, and they're meant to be, say you have like a, well, actually we can just sort of show it off with like a cargo container, which rather than being inline is, sort of perpendicular there, and these attach to it like so, and so you would have multiples of these along it. And what's fun about these is, of course, we not only have it in different sizes, the 1, 2, and 3 version to go in from different size modules, but what's really, really fun about these is they will auto adjust. So if you are on uneven terrain, the different legs will change to different heights to level out your actual lander, and that is pretty cool, and I'll show off a demonstration of that outside in a little bit. So those are quite fun if you are wanting to use sort of more standard fuel tanks, etc. on the ground, but we also have these base frames, which are meant for, your more sort of proper sized landers, etc., and we have them in these 3 various sizes. Again, BZ1, 2, and 3, and just like these base cradles, these will auto-adjust their leveling to make sure that your lander is upright rather than at an angle. And that is just a wonderful ability to have. Now we have nothing in thermal, nothing surprisingly in electrical. I would have figured we'd have some sort of generator here. Nothing in communication, but in science we do have 4 options. The first is the F412M hydroponics module, which is just, a big hydroponics module that holds 2 crew members, is an experience management facility, so you can level up your Kerbals in here. It has a science experiment to observe plant growth, and overall is just, a really gorgeous thing to have on your space station. We then, of course, have a smaller version that, instead of holding 2 Kerbals, surprisingly holds 3 Kerbals, which I think may be a bit of an oversight. I mean, I know it is wider, as you can see here clearly, but I don't know. The fact that this one holds 2 and this one holds 3, weirds me out a little bit. But still, very, very cool parts, and I especially love them with the lights on. Very fun. And then we have the Fate Deep Space Laboratory module here, which this one holds 3 Kerbals, again has the experience management, it is a science lab, and overall is just fun to have. And then we have the Aquaculture module, which holds 3 Kerbals in it, and again, experience management, observe species science experiment, and honestly, I know I said earlier that this is probably one of my favorite interiors. This one is a close second, because it has fish. Actual moving fish. And I love it. We'll get to that here in a little bit. And finally, we have the utility tab, which as you can see has a whole lot of things, which again, we're going to try and go through here quickly. The first one is the CTD-10 Bagel Inflatable Centrifuge Module, which there we go, we can pop that on. You guys know me, I love inflatable bits, and so we can deflate that for launches into a nice tight ring. We then have the donut here, which is just slightly different in size. We can deflate that to a smaller, footprint there, which is quite nice. Let's continue on with the centrifuges. We then have the Coriolis, which is really big. There we go, but not the largest. And we can deflate that one as well. They all also do rotate, but let's bring this up because we have two more. And they're big. So the next centrifuge is the Mercury. Probably my favorite. Look at the size of this thing. And of course, has the nice lighted bits there. You may all recognize this from the movies. And of course, instead of deflating, this one retracts. And look at that gorgeous animation. I really, really do love that thing. Deploy, let's watch it again. Oh, it's beautiful and just great and just gigantic. And then finally we have the Pilgrim Centrifuge, which if we pop that one on here, as you can see, much different styling. And this one, if we retract, there we go, it goes right on down and fits nice and snugly there. Very cool. Now as for the different expandable bits, the Bagel holds 6 when expanded, the Donut holds 4, the Coriolis holds 8, the Mercury holds 14 crew members, and finally the Pilgrim holds 10. They are wonderful little bits, and probably some of my favorite habitation parts here. We then have another inflatable module, the Dirigible, quite large, and of course deflates into a nice 2.5 meter size, but does provide with a total of 18 crew capacity when inflated. We then also have the Blimp module, which when inflated will hold a total of 9 Kerbals on the interior. There we go. We then have the Shanty Habitation module, which is a pretty cool module with a cool interior that, well, being a shanty, is kind of a base level experience for your Kerbals, but will hold 6 crew members. We then have the Panorama Observation module, which is pretty cool and does hold 4 Kerbals. We then have a Service Airlock that holds 2 and can be attached radially or, of course, to a node. And then we have the Sunrise Habitation module, quite small and nice there, does hold 2 people on the interior. We then have the Star Utility module. Again, this one, oh actually no, this one only holds 1 person, even though it's roughly the same size as the Sunrise. We then have a Porthole Observation window, which is radial, or of course can be attached to a node, and holds 1 Kerbal. We then have the Volleyball Inflatable Habitation module, which does hold 3 Kerbals when expanded and deflates to a very, very nice size. We also have the Winston, which again holds 3 and is just slightly different styling and inflates down much more compact than its little brother here. We then also have the Eclair Inflatable Habitation module, which when inflated holds 6 personnel. There we go for a nice deflation. We then have the Hostile Deep Space Habitation module, which holds 12 Kerbals and I think has some really, I don't know if the best interior, but really cool interiors, like individual private rooms for your Kerbals. It's very cool. We then have the Shelter Habitation module holding 6. There we are. The Asylum Storm Cellar, which holds 6 again. And then finally we have the Scatter Service Airlock, which holds 1 Kerbal. And that is all of the parts for this glorious mod. So let's actually head out to the launch pad where I have a little module waiting to show off. I did have a little module waiting to show off things. It seems to have disappeared. Interesting. Well, let's open up the angle test. Oh boy, I think this one. Hopefully this works. I had it all set up before the episode and it seems to have disappeared. Oh, I had to set this... Oh, nope, this is not the right one. Let's go and revert flight to vehicle assembly building and try and set this up how I had it earlier. So I basically, because we need an angle, I did this and it seemed to work just fine. If we put it on the floor and then put it all the way over there. Keep going. There we go. And let's launch that. And it should put it over at the angled bit of the ramp to the launch pad. This worked earlier. Oh, there we go. It worked again. Perfect. So now that we are landed, we can show off the really cool auto level function of these base frames. Now, again, this works with all three sizes of this base frame, as well as the cradles. If we just hit the auto level button, rather than having our habitat here at an angle, we can have it standing straight up. And as you can see here, the legs have adjusted to different sizes to make that possible. And I really love this ability because I rarely ever have the piloting skills to land on a good flat area. So being able to still have things on angles and still have them upright is a beautiful thing. And so yeah, that is how that works. Very simple. You just hit the auto level button and you are off to the races. So let us actually go to the tracking station and look at a giant space station that I built earlier with these parts, just to show things off and also show you some of the interiors. I really don't have the time on this video to show you all of the interiors, simply because there's a lot of them, but this should be a good showing of what you do have available. So there we are. We have our rotating sections of our beautiful, gigantic space station here, built with one of the coolest space station parts packs on the whole forums, frankly. It is just that wonderful. And just has so many great parts and fun extendable things and rotating stuff, and my favorites being, you know, inflatable sections and beautiful centrifuges. So let us actually take a look at some of these interiors. So we're going to start with the astrogation module here, and then sort of work our way around randomly. We're going to kind of go through them quickly here just to give you a quick view. So this is the astrogator. Very nice little command room with some cool holograms, and of course the beautiful big windows everywhere for you to see everything going on. So let's kind of cycle through this one. We have that person sitting over there, and then we get to, frankly, I think my favorite interior. This is that main command module, which, oh god, I really need to bring up the name again because I keep forgetting. The Harbor Station Control. All right, let's go back into it. And I love it because it reminds me of Babylon 5. Any of you who have watched Babylon 5, this really does remind me of the command center in that. It just does. You got the sunken little science bit over here, the command seat up there. It's great. And so we can cycle through all of these, and the commander with the great window seat can gaze out upon the space station there, looking at all the bits and bobs very nicely, and then look at her crew. And then we have sort of a generic container in here. You're going to see this repeated for some of the interiors, but still very nice little thing. Very nice little stuff on the walls. There we go. Cycle through this. We then have the upstairs bit of that with the basic sleeping quarters. We then can kind of go on to one of these science modules in here. Lots of good moving parts, fans or tape. Oh no, they're tape drives. They are in fact tape drives. Wonderful. High-tech Kerbal advancement. And there we go, a better view of the whole little science lab in here. Very cool. We then have one of the, I think this is one of the greenhouse areas. Yes, growing food over there. Always good. We have those available to us. That big open sort of thing that I completely forget the name of, but is a beautiful observation deck. And as you can see, I've got that centrifuge area going up above. And it looks beautiful from in here. It really, really does. Everything looks beautiful in here. And cycle through those. We then have another one of these sort of generic interiors. We'll cycle through that. There we are. Then we get, yes, the aquaponics. Oh, I love this room. Look at the actual moving freaking fish. I love it in here. It's just so cool. I love it. This and the harbor command pod definitely my favorite interiors. Now we move along to another one of the greenhouses there. We'll cycle through. This is the hostel interior, where as you can see, we actually have our own private room for our Kerbal, and as you can see, multiple private rooms for all of the Kerbals that are in this section. This one even has a plant. There we go. That is the different rooms for each of the Kerbals there. We can see into that one. Another lovely room with a nice Visit Duna poster. A beautiful look outside, and then sort of the common area. We got the table, the workout bike over there. Very fun. We'll kind of cycle through these. Just great little rooms. And here is the one on the exercise bike here in the common room. There we are. Beautiful. And just kind of keep on going. A lot of Kerbals. And yeah, then here's that, the one with, I'm forgetting which one this is now, but it has the just, you know, basic little bunks in here. Not exactly the most comfortable, but hey, it's protected from all the environment. I think it's, I think it was called the bunker or something along those lines. And then we have another cool module here, another great interior. Nice to see up and down through this section. Very fun. There we go, another fun interior. Now again, we're not going to be showing off all of them here, as there are more parts with more interiors. I'm just kind of giving you a quick overview of them to show off some of the cooler ones and really get you looking forward to trying out the rest. So here we are back in the top section, the Vista Astrogation module. And all in all, a beautiful mod that I really do hope you download for yourself. You can check it out in the link in the description as per usual. Definitely go try it out. It is just simply a gorgeous set of parts, and have fun and enjoy yourself with it and build some cool stations. Well, that is going to be it for today, folks. I hope you all have enjoyed, and of course that you do come back for the next episode, when hopefully we'll be looking at yet another wonderful mod. But until that time, thank you for watching. And as always, have a good one!